What keeps you up at night?
For sure, a couple things. Batteries, raw materials that go in them, and localizing that raw material supply chain in the U.S.
You know that we don't have localized materials for sourcing of batteries. It's going to take some time there. If I'm an investor, why do I believe that Ford can produce 600,000 EVs annually when the supply chain is just not there? Do we have enough materials to build all the EV batteries that are going to be required?
Frankly, no, not right this second. We don't have enough materials in the supply chain to build everything today.
How worried are you about it?
Well, I am pretty worried.
You said on stage just a few minutes ago, this is the beginning of taking on Tesla, beating Tesla. Can you catch Tesla? Because the analysts out there believe that the gap between you and other automakers and Tesla is widening. You're not closing it.
You know, we really have a chance. Now it's up to us to execute. I would say the industry is starting to get in line because we all realize the same thing at the same time.
I've never understood how all these car makers are going to fulfill all their promises for EV vehicles and the demand that they're talking about seeing. Are there automakers out there today that are announcing EV production promises that have zero hope of fulfilling those promises?
I think it's going to be quite challenging for a lot of the automakers kind of coming into this a bit late. The market is making a dramatic shift. The demand shift toward EVs is phenomenal to see. It's inspiring to see. But securing enough supply of both batteries and all the components that go into them is going to be quite challenging. I think we may see a version of the semiconductor shortage, kind of a 2.0 version of that coming in a few years as so many new automakers ramp up their EV production.
Mary, you've already announced that you're going to be pulling forward your EV production as much as possible. You plan to sell at least 400,000 by the end of 2023 EVs in North America. When you look at that type of outlook for production and sales, there are more than a few people out there who are saying, A, can you get the battery production up to speed in time? And B, are the commodities that you need for battery production, for EV production, is that market going to be there?
The raw materials that are necessary to produce EVs, we have been doing, whether it's strategic partnerships, joint ventures, and we're working to secure the supply that we'll need.
So many different OEMs, countries, factories, customers are leaping into EVs, making these huge announcements, saying they'll be fully electric in their fleet, this decade or next. They haven't, I think, really done the math fully, what that entails in the supply chain and tracing it all the way back. It has the feeling to me of kind of a giant overbooked flight. All these people are like, oh, this is great. Like, we're going to go to that new place. We all want to go there. It looks great. Sweet. Yeah. Let's all get on the plane and go. And, everybody's saying they want to go there at the same time. Meanwhile, we have to sort of build the planes to get there. We have to, figure out how to, sequence everyone. I do think, we're going to have a really painful time of it.
The market see in Tesla a company moving toward the future without any liability from the past. While all the other car makers are, slowly moving because they have to take in consideration the engineers defending diesel and the engineers defending internal combustion engine and the existing plants and the existing facility. While the other guy moving toward the future without these liabilities, so they are betting on him, not only because he has a vision and he has implemented a lot of things, but also because he has no liability.
In this video, we read between the lines as legacy automotive manufacturers tacitly admit they're in big trouble, that they haven't done the math on EV materials and have approximately zero chance of meeting their publicly stated EV production targets, and ultimately plan to be bankrupt before the end of the decade. Of course, no one could possibly have seen this coming. The clips we saw there of Tesla co-founder JB Straubel, current CEO of Redwood Materials battery recycling company, it seems like he may have seen this coming. Those clips from up to a year ago of JB Straubel saying, hey, the legacy automotive manufacturers, it doesn't really look like they've done the math here. They're saying we're going to make this many EVs, but they don't know where they're getting the materials from. There's going to be a big problem. It's a coincidence. It seems like he saw it coming, but that was an accident. It was just a lucky guess, and Tesla could certainly not have seen this coming either. That's definitely not why they started bringing things in-house. That's definitely not why they built the Nevada Gigafactory. That's definitely not why they designed their own battery cells. That's definitely not why they've got their own patents for lithium extraction. No. It's a total fluke as well. No one could possibly have seen this coming. It's totally not the fault of legacy automotive manufacturers that they're all headed for imminent bankruptcy. So let's get into this video where I absolutely will not be roasting them for being complete and utter morons. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and and above. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment-themed merch in the merch store, so check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. First up, let's hear what Ford CEO Jim Farley has to say, keeping in mind that Ford are one of the more forward-thinking companies from the legacy automotive world when it comes to EVs. That's not saying a whole lot, but Jim Farley has said out loud, unbelievably and accurately, that Tesla are leading the way, that he can learn from Elon Musk, and they're doing their best to catch up to the company, versus someone like Mary B.S. Barra, who we'll see later in this video, who colluded with the corrupt president of the United States, stole Tesla's valor, claiming the honor that they've led the way in the EV revolution, and seems destined to do her absolute utmost to ensure General Motors absolutely goes out of business as soon as possible. Over to you, Jim.
Today, as you begin shipping essentially the F-150 Lightning, you made a statement just a few minutes ago on stage. You said this is just the beginning, ramping up production, accelerating production up to 150,000 a year. Can you make it to 150,000 in the next year?
We can. We have to blow out this building. We've upgraded the building twice, but it's all about batteries and raw materials. And we have the batteries secured now. We're in good shape.
What keeps you up at night?
For sure, a couple things. Batteries, raw materials that go in them, and localizing that raw material supply chain in the U.S.
Some very important nuance there. Jim Farley confirming that for Ford's extremely short-term and not particularly ambitious goals with EV production, and they've secured the batteries. However, admitting out loud what keeps him up at night is the materials and batteries, right? This is the problem that every legacy automotive manufacturer is currently running into.
And the consumer credits. We have to be competitive with China and Europe and have consumer credits to help people. This is a $39,000 vehicle. We have to help regular Americans get in this technology.
Get that $7,500 incentive.
Yes.
So here's the question. You know that we don't have localized materials for sourcing of batteries. It's going to take some time there. If I'm an investor, why do I believe that Ford can produce 600,000 EVs annually when the supply chain is just not there for not just you guys, the industry?
Well, first of all, we're going to protect these electric vehicles. This is a strategic move by the company that gets to 600,000 units. If we're shorted on semis, they're going into these kind of products. Number one. Number two, it's Ford Motor Company. The B-24 Liberator, ventilators during the pandemic, the Model T. This is what we do. We're not some new startup. This is what we do. We build things in scale. We know how to do this.
10 out of 10 question dodged there by Jim Farley. You notice he's asked explicitly about supply chain materials beyond their very short-term goals and doesn't actually respond to the question. It's just, we're Ford, we do things, we make stuff, we're Ford, yeah. Now, I'm not a hater here, but I do want to point out the nuance. This is why it's so important to read between the lines. When asked a direct question about the massive issues in securing the resources, the materials, localizing the supply chain for the electric vehicles that Ford need to make in the future, otherwise they're bankrupt, a CEO who actually has a plan is going to say, well, this is our plan, we've got this, that, and the other, contract's good, blah, blah, blah. Instead, massive deflection. Again, I'm not a hater, I really wish Ford all the best, and I think they've got a decent chance, almost even odds of being successful and not going bust by the end of the decade. But it's very telling to show that at this point in time, there's no certainty beyond the very short term in terms of materials. As JB Straubel said, they haven't done the math.
You said on stage just a few minutes ago, this is the beginning of taking on Tesla, beating Tesla. Can you catch Tesla? Because the analysts out there believe that the gap between you and other automakers and Tesla is widening. You're not closing it.
I wouldn't bet against Ford. This is a small team that did this product. This is America's best-selling vehicle. We're electrifying it. We're having 200,000 orders. The demand on the product and the way the company's executing, Mustang, Transit, we really have a chance. Now it's up to us to execute.
So much to discuss. Again, a very direct question from Phil LeBeau. Can you catch Tesla? Jim Farley's immediate response, rather than yes, is I wouldn't bet against Ford. Goes on to explain that Ford do things and that's great and blah, blah, blah. And then follows up by saying that they have a chance. Not that they can, not that they will, not that they're sure, not that they're certain, not that they're highly confident. No, they have a chance. They just need to execute, which is the impossible task.
We have to execute to do that.
And you know that execution has been a bugaboo for you guys,
Sure.
especially in the last 15, 20 years. What have you done to make sure that this launch is not hit with the same problems you've seen in the past?
I've been personally involved. I talk to Linda every night, who's the chief engineer. I come down to the Rouge at least every weekend. We're all involved. Everyone knows how important this is. The F-150 is second only to iPhone in revenue as a consumer product globally. We know what this launch means. We know. And we're on time. We built 2,000 units already. Some of our competitors have been building for a year and haven't built 2,000.
This is a valid point, so credit where it's due. Ford are a company that have experience making products, complex products, at scale. They made a few thousand electric Ford F-150s already. This is great. And as Jim points out, many of the startup companies trying to go after the EV market are really struggling to even get to those pathetic volumes. Meanwhile, in the time I started this sentence, Tesla's produced about 2,000 more electric vehicles. I'm just kidding, but you guys get the point, right? It's not that far off.
Getting back to the question of batteries and the raw materials, is the industry united enough with the current administration to make this happen? Because you can't do it alone. You need the government in Washington to step in.
We do. I would say the industry is starting to get in line because we all realize the same thing at the same time.
You know, I really admire Farley's honesty here. The entire industry realized the same thing at the same time, about 10 years too late. Oh, EVs are actually happening. Oh, Tesla's 10 years ahead of us. Oh, we're probably going bankrupt. So he's right. Everyone, apart from Tesla, of course, had that realization at the same point. 10 years too late. Amusingly, preceding that comment though, Phil LeBeau was also pointing out that the government's going to need to help the industry, and Jim Farley agrees there. Now, let's be clear here. The electric vehicle industry doesn't need any support or help from the government whatsoever. Legacy automotive manufacturers need help and support from the government because, as I've said and as I continue to repeat, most of them will be bankrupt before the end of the decade. That's due to their incompetence as a business, not to the industry's transformation itself. The reason I say this so confidently is because Tesla is an example of a company that doesn't need the help. Somehow, magically, they've been able to develop their own supply chains, to localize much of their own supply, do whatever they need to vertically integrate as much as possible, to lock in those long-term supply contracts. They're already building highly profitable, extremely compelling vehicles at scale. Tesla's already figured it out. They don't need any help. But it is true, and everyone else does. That's embarrassing, isn't it? When a competitor has embarrassed you, moved so far ahead that your only chance of survival is to suck from the government's teat, you know you've made a few missteps. Now, before anybody embarrasses themselves in the comments, go, oh, the government gave lots of money to Tesla, they've been helping Tesla from day one, blah, blah, blah. Well, it is true. There have been some incentives Tesla has been able to take advantage of along the way. You know, hey, Tesla, if you invest multiple billions of dollars into our state, we may give you a tiny exemption or reduction in certain taxes and so on. But you see, here's the thing. Those same incentives were available to any company. They weren't for Tesla. This wasn't a Tesla-specific incentive. No. The money wasn't given to Tesla because Tesla was Tesla. It's just that along the way, using their big brains, as you do running a large business, Tesla has taken advantage of opportunities as they present themselves, as they continue along their mission. And let's not talk about the actual bailouts that were given to actual US automotive companies in the wake of the global financial crisis. The many tens of billions of dollars handed to Ford and General Motors from the government, literally directly to them, not because they were doing something. No, there was no incentive there. It's like, oh, they're going to go bankrupt, let's bail them out by giving them money. This literally happened.
We need mining permitting, we need processing, precursor, and refinement permitting in the U.S., and we need government and private sector to work together to bring it here. We can't just mine the raw materials here and ship it out to Asia or Africa. We have to keep it here. And to do that, we need the government support. We have to move faster.
Big hurdles that you need to overcome in the next couple of years.
Yeah, but that's what makes it exciting. That's Ford Motor Company. That's why we come to work every morning. We want to solve big problems, hard problems, and ones that are important. We want to bring electrification to the many, not the few.
Now it's time to turn from a relatively competent legacy automotive CEO to one of the least competent CEOs, not just of the legacy automotive industry, but any company on the entire planet. Although she'd make a great politician. Wait, she already is one. The woman who unquestionably led the electric vehicle revolution and showed everyone else the way, especially Tesla. Mary B.S. Barra, also known as the captain of the Titanic. She led, and it matters.
Let's bring in Mary Barra, Chair and CEO of General Motors. Mary, you heard what Joe said there. You reiterate your guidance for 2022, but you're seeing some real challenges out there, particularly when it comes to commodity costs and inflation. Give me your sense of the market right now and those challenges that you're seeing.
We're seeing strong demand for our products, and that pricing, which we've already seen, is allowing us to really tackle some of the issues around inflation and some of the higher commodity costs. So that's gave us the confidence that we can reaffirm our guidance, and we have levers that we can pull because of the strong products that we have, the vehicles, for instance, the new full-size trucks that are coming out right now, the Silverado and the Sierra.
Time once again to read between the lines and think about the nuance. CEO of General Motors, aka Government Motors, out loud saying, oh, everything's fine because our pickup trucks, our internal combustion engine pickup trucks make us a load of money, so we're just going to keep selling those and make lots of gigantic profits, and that's going to help for all the other challenges we're currently facing. Hey Mary, what are you going to do in 2 years' time when nobody wants to buy a nice vehicle anymore? Wait, you haven't thought about that that, have you? Probably should.
So that's what we're focused on. And again, we're going to just keep moving forward and executing not only the ICE portfolio that we have, but...
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard from the incompetent captain of the Titanic, Mary Barra herself, whose ship has sprung numerous holes in the hull, is currently sinking, leaking at a crazy rate, and also imminently headed towards an iceberg that they're not going to be adjusting course. In fact, they're going to be poking holes in the hull because why the f not? Yeah, that's right. They're going to keep producing ICE vehicles. They're still focused on that business. They're still investing energy, effort, time, and resources in producing ICE vehicles. Here's how you'll know the exact moment that a legacy automotive manufacturer finally realizes how they are. The day they say out loud, we are immediately going to rapidly scale down and then ultimately cease our ICE vehicle production. No more investment, no more time, no more resources. We realized no one's going to want to buy these within just a few years' time. We realize now that we need to be all in on EVs, and we're not going to be continuing to pursue this ridiculous business. This is like 100 plus years ago. A manufacturer of buggies, you know, the things that horses used to pull around before the ICE vehicle disrupted that. Yep. Seeing these automobiles popping up everywhere and saying, we're still going to be pursuing our buggy business because, you know, why not? It's making us money today and we don't see any reason why not to continue doing that.
But really focused on accelerating the EVs that we're putting into market and also the progress we see at Cruise from an autonomous perspective.
I want to talk about pricing real quick. You're able to pass some of this along ultimately to the dealers who are then passing it along to the customer. But if we see an economy that is slowing down, potentially sliding towards a recession, do you start to lose some of that pricing power?
Well, it's something, Phil, that we're watching very, very closely. But right now...
Now, don't want to be too hard on Mary Barra here. After all, she seems pretty capable of self-immolation. But I do just want to point something out. Very, very telling comment she made. Right now. It's almost as if every legacy automotive manufacturer is living in right now and not bothering to think about what about tomorrow or next week or next quarter, next month, next year, or next decade. Right now, are we making money selling ICE vehicles? Right now, are consumers buying ICE vehicles? Right now, is this business profitable? Great, well, let's just keep doing it because the only thing that matters is right now. Who cares about tomorrow, next week, next quarter, next month, next year? Don't worry about that. Next minute, they fall off a cliff.
Well, it's something, Phil, that we're watching very, very closely. But right now, again, we're seeing a pricing environment that's stronger than even what we thought at the beginning of the year. And I think it's because of the General Motors, our strong product portfolio that we have in the market right now. You know, we're still, very constrained. Almost every truck that ends up at a dealer, the vehicles are moving quickly or they're already sold. And so that's a good place to be in with the strong demand as we work through the inflationary pressures.
Mary, you've already announced that you're going to be pulling forward your EV production as much as possible. You plan to sell at least 400,000 by the end of 2023 EVs in North America. When you look at that type of outlook for production and sales, there are more than a few people out there who are saying, A, can you get the battery production up to speed in time? And B, are the commodities that you need for battery production, for EV production, is that market going to be there? I know you've made some side deals or exclusive deals with some of the suppliers, but there is concern in the market about that.
Well, we are well on our way to executing to make sure that not only can we deliver 400,000 EVs when you look at 22 and 23, excuse me, on our way to 1 million by 2025. And we're seeing strong demand for our products, the Hummer EV and truck and SUV. We already have 60,000 reservations, 140 on the Silverado EV. The Lyriq on May 18th will start taking reservations again because the initial limited edition is already sold out. So we're seeing strong demand for our products. So then, to your point, let's talk about the supply side. You know, our first battery plant comes online this year. We have another plant coming online next year and another the following year, and one more that we'll announce shortly. So we're really controlling our own destiny here when we look at battery cells.
All right, guys, pay very close attention to the following comments.
And then for the raw materials that are necessary to produce EVs, we have been doing, whether it's strategic partnerships, joint ventures, and we're working to secure the supply that we'll need, not only for that 400,000, but for the millions. So we have confidence that we're going to be able to execute on our plan.
Note, Mary Barra claims that General Motors are working to securing the materials they need to actually deliver on their publicly stated EV production targets for the future. Not that they have secured the materials, no, they're working to securing them. In other words, they're scrambling. Remember the point from JB Straubel again. They didn't do the math, and now they're finally doing the math and going, oh, we got a fucking problem. Where do we get the materials from? AKA we're working to getting the materials. Does not end well. And now let's hear from ex-Legacy Automotive CEO who actually did understand electric vehicles and the future, and current fugitive, I'm not even kidding, Carlos Gosn.
Do you see Elon Musk then as a visionary?
Oh, without any doubt. That means I met Elon Musk the first time in, at the beginning of the electric car. At that moment we were two people only believing in the electric car. He made the startup. I was the head of Nissan and Renault. He started Tesla, and I was the first one to present with the Leaf in Nissan and Zoe for Renault. We were accused of being fools. It's not going to go anywhere. The end of the story. Today, everybody moving to electric car. And if the market today valorizes Tesla as more than $1 trillion, which is probably much more than all the other makers reunited, it's because the market see in Tesla a company moving toward the future without any liability from the past. While all the other car makers are, slowly moving because they have to take in consideration the engineers defending diesel and the engineers defending internal combustion engine and the existing plants and the existing facility. While the other guy moving toward the future without these liabilities, so they are betting on him, not only because he has a vision and he has implemented a lot of things, but also because he has no liability.
Great points here. This is one of the strange things I don't really seem to understand by the competition is coming dingbats who claim that as soon as a legacy automotive company or an EV startup decides, they'll start producing compelling vehicles at scale that are highly profitable and customers want to buy, and they'll suddenly be kicking Tesla's ass. First of all, for a new EV startup who don't know what the fuck they're doing, the chance of success is almost 0%, and I'm not actually kidding. Look at the number of US automotive startups alone that have gone bankrupt in the last century versus those who haven't. Additionally, for a legacy automotive company to suddenly start competing with Tesla, besides the engineering chops they'll need and all the other bits and pieces, they're all encumbered by their legacy internal combustion engine business. There's plants, there's equipment, there's engineers, there's technology that's completely useless now. We've got debt on finance vehicles that are going extinct. These are huge burdens to overcome, and the unfortunate truth is most of these legacy automotive companies will be unable to overcome these burdens.
Yeah. He has no loyalty to the past, while the
so
others...
if you were still sitting in your chair as the head of Renault and Nissan, would you be worried about Elon Musk?
I would not be worried about Elon Musk. I would have try to emulate him, even knowing that he has a huge advance because he has no liability. I had many liabilities. Because you know that even when I had to go to China, when I made the decision to bring Nissan to China in 2002, I had a huge resistance from a lot of Japanese. They considered that China, intellectual property is not being respected, this is, etc. Not looking at the potential of China. This was already 2002. You imagine the resistance I had in 2008. Because when you decide to dedicate billions of dollars for the electric car, the decision of making electric car doesn't bother anybody. The problems start because when you decide to dedicate so much resources for the electric car, you need to cut other programs. And this is where the resistance starts. Oh, you're cutting on diesel, we have a problem. You're going to cut on this engine, we have a problem. You're stopping doing this, we have a problem. This is where the resistance comes. He doesn't have this resistance because he has no liability to the past.
More fair points there, and speaking of the past, that is the current location that literally every single legacy automotive manufacturer currently resides. As I said earlier, until legacy automotive manufacturers come out and literally say, you know what, we're done with ICE, we're going to massively scale down our production as soon as possible, stop making them, no more investment of time, energy or resources in these dinosaurs to be, we are absolutely all in on EVs. Until this point in time, they're on another fucking planet, and it won't end well. The thing is, it's already too late. That's why I continue to repeat that almost every single legacy automotive manufacturer will go bankrupt before the end of the decade. It's already too late. It's years too late. We're now watching them stumble and go, oh, fuck, wait a minute, oh yeah, that math that we didn't do, where do we get all the materials from? It's a slow motion train wreck happening, and it's going to take many years to play out, so sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and enjoy the show. And here's exactly, and I mean exactly, how things play out from here. Every single legacy automotive manufacturer, one after the other, announces publicly that they're A, increasing their financial investment in electric vehicles, B, speeding up their transition to electric vehicles, C, accelerating their production targets and goals for electric vehicles, D, starting to have some financial troubles, E, super surprised at the sudden lack of interest, demand, and consumers willing to purchase ICE vehicles, F, talking to their lenders trying to obtain more finance to stay in business, Gee, slashing 20, 30, 40% of their workforce. And finally, filing for bankruptcy. P.S. We're super sorry, but it's not our fault. We totally couldn't have seen this coming, so don't blame us because we're not incompetent fucking morons. We are currently witnessing the end of the Ice Age. Legacy automotive companies are on the precipice, about to fall off a fucking cliff, and they don't even see it coming. And on that bright and cheery note, hope you guys and girls have enjoyed the video, and don't forget to join Patreon with the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment. Not only will you gain instant access to my Tesla price targets all the way out to 2031 in the bear case, the base case, the bull case, and the hyper bull case, but also well over 100 exclusive Q&A videos, loads of other exclusive content and perks. So see you over there. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. I read every single comment on this channel, and I really appreciate your feedback. So if you've got any thoughts on today's video, questions, comments, or suggestions for a new video, let me know in the comments below. Check the cards on screen now to browse the merch store, join Patreon, or watch the next video.